Hello, everybody. Welcome to our December meeting. I would love to acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded and unsurrendered traditional territory of the Cochin-Shan-Smilyak speaking people. And I would just love to acknowledge my gratitude that I'm able to live and learn and walk on this incredible piece of Mother Earth. And I am very grateful for the culture that I'm able to be a part of and the teachings that I have been able to be included in, learning about Tsimshian ways of living. So yeah, thank you. I would love to call for an adoption of the agenda. Trustee Meyer. And I need a seconder, please. Trustee Horn, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. And this evening, we do not have a presentation as everybody is very busy with the time of the year. Many things are happening in all of our schools. And so we look forward to seeing who will come and see us in January. Approval of the minutes of the open board meeting on November 19th.
I'll make that
Trustee-
motion.
I second the motion.
Thank you. I have Trustee Meyer and Trustee Beal, and any questions? Or wonderful, all in favor? Great, so
Aye.
moved. Necessity of closed meeting and agenda. Wishes of the board. Trustee Meyer,
Motion to approve.
motion to approve and a seconder.
Approved,
Trust-
4.1 through 4.9.
Thank you.
Second.
I have Trustee Meyer and Trustee Sanchez before that. Thank you. All in favor? Great,
Aye.
wonderful. Great. Correspondence addressed to the board. We have none, and 5.2 wishes of the board. Trustee Meyer,
I'll make a motion to receive and file 5.2.1 and 5.2.2.
we have a motion to receive and file 5.2.1 and 5.2.2. Seconder for that motion, Trustee Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Superintendent of Schools report.
Thank you, Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Simoa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Field trips, 6.1.1, please check page 11. If you have any questions, I will entertain them at this time.
Questions? Not seeing any. Thank you very much.
6.1.2 enrollment, Madam Chair, I'd like to call upon Assistant Superintendent Sandra Pond to present our current enrollment.
Thank you.
Thank you. On page 12, you'll see some enrollment graph with enrollment trends and enrollment currently on the lower graph. Currently, we have 1,814 students enrolled. 1,117 of those are Indigenous students, which is 62% of our student population. Any questions anybody might have?
Not seeing any. Thank you.
6.1.3 upcoming projects. Madam Chair, there's definitely a lot going on in our schools these days, and as you identified, to the extent that it was nigh impossible to find a presenter because everyone is preparing to go on vacation or just preparing for travel to meet with their families, and so we'll hold that in advance for the next meeting. This normally we do the previous month, as you know, for this meeting. But this month we're mixing because there's so many exciting things going on and there's only 4 days left before we're adjourning for the winter break. But we did have the Play in the K's, which is an event at each of our elementaries. This is happening throughout the district where the kindergarten and future kindergarten students are welcome to play in the actual classrooms that they will be in. And of course, I'm sure you can understand that this helps to reduce anxiety for our students, so that they get to see what's there and become familiar. And it prepares them for next September. Prince Rupert Port Authority has been helping to coordinate a number of pancake breakfasts that happened at all of our schools. They arrange for volunteers not only from PRPA, but also from Trigon and Pembina. And many of our staff have joined in, district staff, principals, vice principals, head office staff have been also participating. Spirit Days at most of our schools this week with winter concerts, craft nights for some, and even a bus tour around town to look at festive decorations and lights on display. CHSS students on Thursday have their annual gym riot, and there's also a student council bake sale this week. School musical, last week, the school musical of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. They had 3 performances at the Leicester Center. I attended along with the Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Pond, and with our Secretary Treasurer, Enrique Vasquez, to show him the wonderful facility that we have, show it off with the new seats. I believe he was suitably impressed. The musical was an extravaganza. It was fantastic with many of the alumni who were former students of ours, if not all of them, really added their voices. And it was reported to us that 1,200 people viewed the performance over the 3 days, which for a town of 12,000, that's incredible. So kudos to Allison O'Toole and all of the staff who were behind the scenes, marshaling the students to their places. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. Spirit North has joined Miss Dewick's Health 9 class to teach wilderness survival skills such as fire building. Billy Nelson, who is our district equity mentor, collaborated with Miss Saka and Miss Clifton's classes to create drums for the school drum group. We are really looking forward to inviting them to come and perform before you. We think that's very exciting, building their own drums and then performing. So watch for that. The Outdoor Club and Debate team hosted a successful fundraiser featuring a gingerbread house decorating, a loonie auction, a 50-50 draw, and a lasagna dinner at the Nisga'a Home. December 20th and 21st, Charles Hayes will have an alumni basketball tournament. It's always well attended. Some very good basketball. Junior and senior boys and girls basketball teams are in full swing and have hosted many home games and attended games in other communities over the last few weeks as well. Early learning and childcare, the early learning section of the SD52 website have been updated to include very current information for the Strong Starts and the PACES Hub, which is at Roosevelt. In all 4 elementary schools, you'll find the information on the website. And elementary schools are planning to invite 4-year-olds into the schools between January and June to increase the success of the kindergarten transitions for September of 2025. That really helps our enrollment if the kids come and see us. Strengthening early years to kindergarten transitions grant is going to be helping fund the various activities. And it will also include an early learning fair in the spring. And another thing that I've been working on is a great deal is the Prince Rupert Middle School. As you know, it's progressing. The playground is going to be moved soon. The storm sewer work will hopefully start between January 9th and probably the 16th. As well, they have to rerun some power lines, the gas lines, and you'll see fencing start going up hopefully after the 6th of January. Nothing happens without a meeting on the site with us, the school board, with representatives from the school board, so that we can be certain that there is safety and look at that traffic flow of how not only vehicles will move, but how do we move 425 students? Because the entrance will now be at the back of the school, not at the front. And we anticipate that that will take some work to kind of get everybody used to that. And where does everyone park? It's not just the staff there, but it's also all the visiting people such as head office staff, the speech path, the physiotherapist. They all need to look at where will they be able to park their cars. Lastly, thanks to all staff and members of the community who have donated food, money, their time and help to make our students' educational experience such a positive one. We just had word today that one of our local organizations went to PCS and was helping students to brighten their Christmas time with very nice donations. So we're very, very happy for that. And we know that the students were reported to be very respectful and very thankful for the donations. Are you next? I can't remember.
Complete.
Was that it?
Wonderful.
That is it, Madam Chair. That is my report. Are there any questions? I thought we were doing something on learning, but that's it.
That we are in a bit.
Oh.
Thank you. I just really want to note the play in the Ks and for every grade. This is data that I'm sure you're probably very aware of, but I was reminded of it the other day that it takes 400 repetitions to create a new synapse in the brain unless it's done in play, which then it only takes 10 to 20 repetitions.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Very good.
Secretary Treasurer report.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You-
On pages 13 and 14, financial information was included in the work package. That information was presented on December 9th to the Finance and Building Committee. As a summary, I will say that the result that we're showing at the end of November is $362,000 better than what was presented in budget. However, it's important to mention that that budget was approved before the start of the fiscal year. And then we are now working on the amended budget. As mentioned in that meeting, the Ministry of Education is, after all these changes that they are having, they are delayed. They said by a month. So we're expecting to receive the guidelines for the amended budget submission in July. January. I wish it would be July. And then, I'm working with my team in putting together those numbers. So right now that surplus that we're showing is part of the information I have received is probably timing. So we cannot go crazy believing that we have tons of money. It is not. Some more information coming hopefully in January.
Thank you. Any questions? Please, Trustee Horn. And you're muted, just so you know.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So on page 14, I have a couple of questions. Total expenditure expense line, sorry. Can you please explain why teachers, principals, EAs, support staff are all not spent as much as we budgeted for, and then why other professionals are higher?
Thank you for your question, Madam Chair and Mr. Horn. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, this budget was prepared before we start this calendar year. Seems to me that the assumptions using budget have changed what we see in the actual expenses are based on the current needs of the school district. I also have to say that I'm working with the team in having more detailed information. My idea is to do something like what I explained in the revenue side last week. However, this part is a little bit more challenging because it includes many other pieces. One of that is I have had conversations, and I mentioned that the other day, with our SES provider. There is a provider of accounting software. So basically I need to ensure that the system work for us, not the other way. I'm saying all this because again, the information is not totally. I still need to do some digging, and that is going to take me a little bit more time. However, again, the information I have received is these variances in the positives that we see in the expense side is timing. And the negatives that we see on the other professionals and substitutes is basically the assumptions have changed, and we are showing the real needs of our labor, and more to come for sure. I'm working on that, and I will be happy to share information in the coming months. Again, once we finalize the amended budget, this is going to be more realistic because now we have different pieces that probably when the budget was prepared last spring probably was, we were not aware at the time. But yeah, that is the information I can share right now.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Not seeing any. We'll move on to operations department report.
Okay, I will open the floor if there is any question about this point 7.2.
Trustee Horn?
We've got some reports now on page 15, correct?
Yes.
Yes, so in the facilities, the booth kitchen ongoing. Can we get a little report about where approximately we're at with the booth kitchen, please?
Correct.
We're looking at September 2025 for that kitchen to open.
Thank you. And then I see that Roosevelt undergoing large project to install ventilators. I'd like to thank very much the operations department for the report on upgrading of the Roosevelt system and the fact that they're getting it all done. So thank you very much to the operations department for that. And it's also great to see that busing of our students around is continuing to get a lot of use. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding this report? Not seeing any.
So item 7.3, I will open the floor if there is any question.
Trustee Horn?
And great to see that the IT department has been proactive on getting the multi and conference work for security and to be vigilant and making sure that everything is safe for us, because I know that other school districts have had issues. I know that we haven't had any major issues, but it's great to see that we are being proactive and that so we can be out ahead of that and to be sure that nothing goes wrong. And I'd like to make sure that everybody pays attention to the smartboard issue, where it's going to be, and because of failures of the units that we have that are getting older, that we need to budget for replacement of those units for the students. And then also that the for AI conference, so you talk about at the bottom of the page here, and understanding the people in charge of IT are getting more understanding of what's going on with AI and how we can control it. And so the best way for our students to learn. So thank you very much to the IT department.
Thank you, James.
And I would just like to echo that and thank you for always being proactive. Very much so. Any other questions for Dinesh? Wonderful, thank you. Well, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Finance and Building Committee, Trustee Meyer,
I wasn't in attendance, so I'm
Oh,
gonna
right.
hand it over to trustee Beal.
thank you. Anything to add, Trustee Beal?
No, Enrique has given us the details that we met on. Thank you.
Thank you. Framework for Enhanced Student Learning. I know we haven't met, but my understanding is since the last report, correct? Oh, yes, please, Trustee Horn.
Yep, thank you, Madam Chair. We had a large meeting the other day. It was great. I was really impressed that staff had put together, Sandy especially, had put together a different format on reporting back the numbers to the group and how we went about it, and the fact that they invited students along to give us assistance, which was fantastic. And I'll got some things to say about that here in a second if I find my notebook here. And so I think I just need to say that the way that it was presented to us, I felt was a lot easier for us to understand. And so thank you for doing it that way. I think what happened with the students, they came and then at the end, we asked them to speak and they were given time to speak to us. And they had a lot to say. And I think we need to be paying very much attention to what they're saying to us. So the most important thing that I took from what they said was that they're asking for more obvious mental health sign of what we can do about the mental health in the schools for the students. And that if we were to do that, it would lead to better outcomes for truth and reconciliation and for equity. And that's the big things that we were speaking about when we were doing our meeting. And so they came up with all sorts of little things, but the big push for them was to focus on promoting mental health and making sure we're all aware of what needs to be done. And their voices were very, very good. And we should be, as a board, encouraging more input from the students to our board when we make decisions on things. So thank you. And so thank you, Sandy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Horn. Sandy Pond.
Thank you, Chair Toy. Thank you, James, for those words, and you did a great job of summarizing. It was great to have the students. We're actually going to set up a meeting with a group of us, just with the students too, just to have time to hear more from them. Yeah, so that was good. The data that we've chosen today to highlight is our numeracy data. And so on pages 17 and 18 and 19 and 20, I believe, there and 21, there are some charts, and then there is a bit of an analysis that we submitted to the ministry. So this data, you can find it online on their website under the annual Enhancing Student Learning Report for this year, under the Framework for Enhancing Student Learning tab on the website. It's a little bit, you have to look around a little bit. You might discover some other interesting things while you're trying to find it, which is always good. Numeracy is an area that requires growth in our district. And as a matter of fact, numeracy is an area that requires growth not only in our district, but province-wide and worldwide, globally. I was at a high-performing systems session last January to represent School District 52. And there were representatives from around the world, and the common dialogue was about how we're seeing that our students are not doing as well in numeracy. So It's definitely an area for growth. We are excited to see that there's a little bit of an uptake. Things are improving a little bit for our students. We're still seeing lower results than the rest of the province, which we're concerned about. And when I say we're excited, it doesn't mean that we think we've made it by any means. We have so much work to do in this area. The grade 4s and 7s just finished writing this fall the FSAs for 2024, 2025. And so our marking team is aware of how they did because our own staff mark those before they go to the ministry. And what we noticed was the grade 4s did not do very well, but the grade 7s actually did better than we had expected. So that's a little bit of a story there. We heard, and James, you might remember this, we heard from the students about the grade 10 grad assessments. The grade 10 grad assessments are not a traditional, they're not like the math exams that we did when we were in high school. They are an assessment that actually is assessing students' ability to use all of the different things that they've learned in numeracy, whether it's statistics or geometry or algebra or measurement, all of these different areas. Can they take what they know from all these different parts of math and apply it in a problem-solving question? And this is why our students are struggling. However, we're trying to help them. I mean, that's life. You know, we do math in life. And so when we're just teaching geometry, but they're not getting that experience of all the other things that they should be pulling in, they're not getting the whole rounded picture. So, it's a scary exam. Fortunately, the government does allow students to start writing it in grade 10, and they can continue writing it until they're in grade 12 if they choose to, if they want to improve, if they want to learn more about that kind of assessment, because, trying to prepare them for life. But meanwhile, when we look at, and this graph is a little bit skewed on here, I don't know what happened when we printed it, it went kind of wonky, but if you look at the one in the annual enhancing student learning report, you'll be able to see that provincially and in our district, students are not doing well on the grade 10 grad assessment. So there needs to be some work done there in terms of how we approach that assessment. Any questions?
I just had one on the what data points are missing or masked. I see that we referenced the Metlakatla Education Coordinator. However, I'm wondering if there's also work done with GitGat.
Yes,
Wonderful.
yes.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Pond? Wonderful. Thank you so much. Provincial Council. Trustee Horn.
Yes, there is a meeting coming up in February 22, an online meeting, thank goodness, this time around. Is a motion deadline for that meeting for January 20, should the board wish to get a motion submitted to Provincial Council.
I would think we will, so thank you so much. Policy Committee.
Yeah.
Trustee Horn.
So policy committee, where's my notes on policy committee? So we're going to have a motion to approve 7220 and 7410, which was sent out for stakeholders speaking, and see what we had there. Thank you.
And a seconder for that motion? Trustee Sanchez. Did you care to speak further to that?
Yes, I'd ask Andrew, was there any changes asked for by stakeholders?
No, there were nothing received by our office or any of the staff.
Okay, and in that case, and if there's nothing issues from the board, then those good to go ahead.
So we have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. Thank you. So moved.
And then in 843, we had policies because of the roadmap presented to us by KPMG, where we need to get motions, particular motions moving to get into the short-term issues that they have with our motions. And so we had a long meeting and a discussion about how we were going to go about doing that without overburdening our staff. So the policy committee is going to meet more than once in January and during the daytime, and so that staff can attend should they wish to, so that we can get into those. And there's going to be an awful lot of work needed to be done. And so we have temporarily suspended the rotation that's currently in place so that we can get the motions done in order that KPMG has asked us to do. That's why there's no policies to be sent for review today.
Any questions for the policy committee? Not seeing any. Thank you for that report. 8.5, Trustee Horn.
And we haven't met since the last meeting, but I'll ask Dinesh, is going to be an upcoming meeting? I'm not sure if the tech committee has at this point submitted a date for that. Maybe not. Is Dinesh there still? Yep.
Yes, Jim. So we are going to have in the first week in January. You will be receiving the invitation this sometime this week, either from me or from Jim.
Thank you. That's good enough for the tech steering committee. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And old business, not seeing any. Is that so? Wonderful. Not seeing any. And new business, we have the proposed meeting dates for the budget on the last page of your package. Any comments, questions from the board? Please.
Madam Chair, what we're presenting to you this time has some changes. As you know, last year we made quite a unique change, and that is that we had a very concentrated or intense meeting with our rights holders and stakeholders in the school board office, a day-long meeting, to get that dialogue and to continue that dialogue in somewhat of an intimate way in terms of anything you want to ask us because of our openness and transparency. And I don't know if either of if PRDTU or IUE are on the call with us today. It was the feedback I got was it was good because this is something that we weren't doing in the past. So we get together and we go over the budget, we go over the budget projections, give an outlook for 3 years from now, because, given those assumptions, if enrollment doesn't change, what will change? And it's a prediction, based on ministry signaling to us on what they're going to do. But it allows that fulsome discussion about, well, what if this happened? How would that affect our members? And that's, I think, important for us to talk with our stakeholders and rights holders to say, well, here's what could happen. And they were very well received. So what we're asking is, you'll notice Tuesday, January 8th is our traditional large gathering where we'll do a short budget presentation based on what we know now, because the ministry will not have made their announcements on allotments for next year. And then we usually have 3 challenge questions. And then we break up into small groups, we brainstorm ideas, and then we report out to each other in the public. That's Thursday, January 28th. And then on your sheets, you'll see that there's a Thursday, February 20th meeting. We'd like to remove that meeting and have that as after the Tuesday, January 28th meeting. Anyone can still fill out a budget information survey. We guarantee it'll work this year. Or just drop off an email drop off a snail mail or email any of us or any of you as trustees with comments, suggestions, what they want to see, what they don't want to see. So because we will have no new information from the ministry for that February 20th meeting, we found it to be not as fruitful as we would like for an evening event. But if we can have the meeting with our partner groups, Principals Association, Peer DTU, IUOE, and the fourth group. If we can have that meeting, then we will also have a greater idea of what to present at the public meeting on April 7th. And then again, something different this year is we really do think that this is the year that our budget should be ready for first reading at the April 15th meeting. And as you know, at that meeting, there is public comment as well. It's important for us in the staff to have the budget basically solid before May so that we can do appropriate planning, but also it's in recognition of our employees to say, if there were to be layoffs or there were to be changes, it's giving people multiple months of notice instead of at that last minute or, you know, we hope never happens is you make a decision in public and the employee has not been notified. So we want to avoid those scenarios. And then, of course, the May 6th meeting would be second and third reading, which is more in line with Robert's Rules of Orders to not have all three readings at one meeting.
Yes. Any questions, comments? Trustee Horn?
Thank you, Andrew, for that. I know the staff and the board have worked together, but especially the staff, to make the changes over the last couple of years to the way the budget has been done. From my point of view, and what I hear from other people on the board, even though I don't speak for anybody else but myself, this has been a much better process that I see that the board has done than how we've gone about our budgeting in the past. And I would ask Andrew if it looks the same from your side of things, whether it feels like it works better than it has done in the past.
Trustee Horn, I feel that the proposed changes here and the proposed dates works very much in favor of that open communication that this board has really brought to the district. And it allows for those, you know, those real discussions back and forth as opposed to in a large hall with a lot of people. It's, you know, the president of the PRDQ will be there and she can ask us specific questions about this and about that school. IOE, well, support staff are very important. What are you doing with this? Where's the future lie for our members? We can talk about dollars for training. There's so many moving pieces that I think it gives everybody a more fulsome picture if we're together in the same room.
Thank you. That sounds excellent. Thank you.
Any further questions? This needs a motion.
Madam Chair, I'm at a loss. I can't remember if this requires, I believe it requires a motion because
believe
it's
so,
board
too.
meetings.
Right?
It's not board meetings. It's consultations. It's not official board meetings.
Trustee Beal?
Yes, it does.
Yes, thank you. So,
But I mean,
sorry, you're muted, Trustee Beal.
sorry, I'll make a motion that we accept the proposed dates for 25-26 annual budget consultation.
And that's with removing Thursday, February 20th, correct?
As amended, yes.
Yes, wonderful, thank you. Motion on the floor, seconder, Trustee Meyer. All in favor to approve these dates as amended?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then information items. It is the holiday break, December 23rd to January 3rd, 2025. Our next meeting for the Board of Education will be January 21st, 2025. And then a non-instructional day for elementary and middle schools will be January 24th, 2025. Please.
Sorry, I have a comment. I just noticed that our board meeting happens on January 20th, but if we were bringing any motions to the board or to our AGM, that is January 20th.
No, February, he did say, did he not?
February or January, James?
No, the PC meets in February, but the motion deadline for the February meeting is January the 20th. For PC, not for AGM.
Oh, not for AGM. Okay, so
Yeah.
we still have.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Never mind.
Thank you. Wonderful. So those are our dates. And then we have a question and answer period. Going once. Going twice. Not seeing any questions. I thank you all for joining us tonight and wishing you a wonderful, nourishing, restful break for your heart, your mind, your body, your spirit, and your soul. And I will ask the trustees to join us on the other channel.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.